Where politics meets common sense. This is Nightcaps with Nate.
Coming to you live from just outside the swamp of the nation's capital. Get ready for invigorating talk, commentary, and debate on the issues affecting your life. Grab your favorite drink. It's Nightcaps with Nate. Now, here's Nate.
What is up, everybody? This is a special edition of Nightcaps with Nate. I am Nate, and I have a whole panel of no longer black men, as Joe has said, because they are Trump supporters. On my left, coming from originally Atlanta, Georgia, now up in Chicago area, Illinois area, we have Jasper. Just below him, originally from Chicago, also hails from Dallas, I believe, as well, and is now living in Tampa, Florida. It is Kareem Jackson, and then my man from New York City, living right outside the city of New York City, entrepreneur, guest on OAN Network, which is Trump's new favorite network, been on Fox News and CNN. Don't know how he ever did it, but that is my man Darius. Darius, what's up?
What's going on, brother? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for all of you guys joining us on Last Minute Notice. Today, Joe Biden has put his foot in his mouth. We are going to try to hold him accountable because the media has never done it. Tonight is the night that we get it done. If you want to call into the show tonight, after I get done my monologue, make sure that if you do call in that you remain on mute. Do not try to unmute yourself, but you could call in at 443-247-5309, 443-247-5309, and we will take your call live. Also, you can comment on Nightcaps with Nate. Make sure that you like and follow our page. Go to YouTube and subscribe to our page. If you have not yet, please start a watch party. Let's get this word out there. Let's show Joe Biden for the creep that he is. The whole reason for this show tonight was not planned, but this morning, all of a sudden, I got inundated with all my friends there sending me this thing. I thought it was like, okay, one of those fake sites. I get a lot of news that come from like crazy sites, right? Like these blog spots and all that. But when I saw like it was coming from the actual, I think it was Kareem. You sent me the, what was it, XXL or whatever?
Yeah, double XL. Yeah.
Okay, see, I didn't know what double XL was. I thought he was sending me some dirty stuff. Okay, so I clicked on it anyway.
This is dirty. This is nasty.
This is real dirty.
This is nasty.
So I clicked on it, and I could not believe what I saw. I mean, it was the actual YouTube, and I watched the thing at least 2 or 3 times. You know what? In fact, the very first clip that I'm going to play, what's this guy? His name is Charlemagne the God. And Charlemagne actually called it out. One of his very first questions to Joe Biden was almost prophetic. I am going to play this one clip real quick. This prophetic clip.
You know, it's a lot of right-wing media outlets. They question you. They question your cognitive health. They don't think they don't think everything's working upstairs. What do you say to that?
I say I can hardly wait to meet with that guy who is the stable genius.
All right. So the guy who can't wait to get to the guy who says he's a stable genius, basically put it out there that, you know, Charlemagne was worried about him. It was almost prophetic because he definitely had something to worry about. Because by the time Charlemagne was probably hoping this clip would go viral. Everybody who does a podcast, including myself, hopes a clip goes viral, but all for the right reasons, right? This Charlemagne is actually starting to come over to the right. From what I've read on him, he's been saying, hey, I've been a staunch Democrat my whole entire life. What have they done for me, right? And so then by the end, this is why we're having this conversation tonight. Let's go on to this next clip here.
Long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. I mean, come on. Take a look at the record.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Anyway, thanks. I will come back.
All right, so that's his handler. His handler tried to get him off like several times. And Charlemagne's like, dude, you don't do that to black media. Okay, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, like, you know, but his handler, maybe sometimes Joe may be a little bit like Trump, but maybe he should have just shut up. why he was ahead. But no, you know, this is a problem with Joe Biden. Okay? I could take a loudmouth like Trump because at least Trump has good policies. What I can't take is a loudmouth and somebody who has no good policies too. Because the Democrat Party has been using the black vote, and that right there showed a white guy, a white Democrat who says, basically, you're Democrat, you're black, I'm a Democrat, you owe me your vote. Well, as you can see, I got 3 panelists on here in a minute, and they're each, I'm going to start in order in just a minute, and they're going to explain, A, if they're offended, why they're offended, and they'll get a good couple minutes each, and then we can take a call. And like I said, a little bit later, you can call in 443-247-5309, or you can come to Nightcaps and Nate page and comment. Let's go through this. This guy is not just today. Today is just the latest in a salvo of things. But some of the reaction for today, white liberal elitists have continuously dictated which black Americans are allowed to come to the table and have a voice. It is clear now more than ever following these racist and dehumanizing remarks that Joe Biden believes black men and women are incapable of being independent or free thinking. He truly believes that he, a 77-year-old white man, should dictate how black people should behave. Biden has a history of racial condensation, and today he once again, proved what a growing number of black Americans have already known. Joe Biden does not deserve our vote. That was Katrina Pearson, a senior advisor to the Trump campaign, because he's actually making a play he is the first Republican, by the way, to actually make plays. And then, so they asked his campaign manager, they said, hey, what do you think about this? Simone D. Sanders says, oh, well, you know, he was just joking. He was doing it all in jest. He was saying that I'll put my record up against that. Well, if that's the truth, then why did Joe Biden later have to come out and apologize? Biden apologized on Friday afternoon for the comment in a campaign call with black business leaders. I should not have been so cavalier, he said. I've never, ever taken the African-American community for granted. Bullshit, lie. Biden said, according to CBS News' Ed O'Keefe, no one should have to vote for any party based on their race, their religion, their background. That was the Democrat Party saying, hey, walk this back. But again, this is not new stuff. This has been going on for a long time. Here's a clip back in 2006 where he's talking to an Indian American who happens to be owning a party store. Let's play this one real quick for you.
Manish, how are you, man? Well, good to see you. As you know, I got a lot of support from you, Indian. That's where, and more to come, I think. Yeah, so. No, I've had a great relationship. Right. In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. So I'm not joking. Oh, gigantic. Excited for you.
All right, so he says you cannot go to a 7-Eleven without having a slight Indian accent. Could you believe if anybody else had said that? And then what about just recently, not too long ago, when Biden said that poor kids are just as smart as white kids, as if there's something totally different. Getting a little feedback there. Let's go with this.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Just as poor? What, like white kids all of a sudden are smarter than Asians and Jewish and everything else? I mean, come on. Or black people or Hispanics. I'll tell you what, Condoleezza Rice, she could play the piano at Juilliard level by 12 years old. She graduated high school, I think, by 13 or 14, had a college degree by the time I was trying to still running from the police and trying to get into the army. Okay? And I'm a white dude. She killed me. How about this fundraising event where Joe Biden had a love for his past segregation? It was, and by the way, both these people does not lend credibility to any of the African-American community that they now both endorse him. This is Joe Biden. We only got a few more folks, I promise you. But I just want to make the case here from my time at law school, my 1.5 semester at law school, making a case here that, hey, this is not just me being crazy. Here's him calling black kids roaches.
And by the way, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
He says he loves kids jumping on his laps. He's also fondling that little girl next to him, which is what he's known for, but that's a whole nother episode. Here's him opposing desegregated schools.
As a freshman senator in the mid-1970s, Biden did oppose federally mandating busing, but his history on the issue is complicated. At the time, Biden downplayed the overt racism of many who opposed busing and argued the government should have a limited role in integrating schools. In a 1975 interview, Biden went as far as to call busing plans, quote, just quota systems, and the most racist concept you can come up with. Republican Senator Edward Brooke from Massachusetts, then the only African-American senator, disagreed with Biden's views. Brooke called one of Biden's amendments, quote, the greatest symbolic defeat for civil rights since 1964.
Now imagine, that was in the 1970s. We had a black Republican in the Senate. Okay, so this is not some new thing. This is a resurgence of black Republicans that you see on your screen right now. Only a few more, folks. I just want to bury this guy. Here he is opposing desegregation in the, I'm sorry, next one. Did Joe Biden, this is just a slide, did Joe Biden really say he didn't want his kids growing up in a, quote, racial jungle? Can you imagine if a Republican said that? How about this one here, this little gem? When Barack Obama came on the stage, Barack Obama is the first mainstream, you got the first mainstream African-American who is articulate and bright and clean. Nope, no other guy on my screen here is articulate, bright, and clean, because I guess you guys aren't running for president. I don't know what he meant by that little comment here. Let's go on to the next quote. Mr. Biden has caused some of his own problems during a private meeting with prominent black mayors in Georgia last year. According to 3 people with direct knowledge of the gathering, he caused a stir when answering a question about education reform. Mr. Biden said one problem black communities face is that the, quote, parents can't read or write themselves, a remark that shocked and frustrated many in the close-knit group. Let's keep going here. This is old Joe back in the 1970s. I have some friends on the far left, and they can justify to me the murder of a white deaf mute for a nickel by 5 colored guys. They say the black men had been oppressed and so on, but they can't justify some Alabama farmers tar and feathering an old color women. I suspect the ACLU would leap to defend the 5 black guys, but no one would go down to help the rednecks. And rednecks are usually people with very real concerns, people who lack the education and skills to express themselves quietly and articulately. That's Joe Biden in 1970, just as he was coming onto the political scene. That was his views back in the 1970s, folks. That's his views in the 1990s here. Joe Biden's role in 90s crime law could haunt any presidential bid, the New York Times worried, because it locked up more black men for stupid marijuana crime than anything else. The war on drugs is an abject failure. I'm a libertarian. Most of the people on this show is a libertarian, and it has been an abject failure. Folks, that is Joe Biden in the 1970s, the 1990s, the 2000s, and today. I'm going to start with left to right. Jasper, you're first. You get to comment on any of this stuff that you had today. I know you said you had some stuff on your chest you wanted to get off. Then we're going to go down to Kareem and then to my man, Darius, bottom right. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. Joe Biden. First, I don't care if he apologizes. I don't care what his black publicist or black chief of staff, whoever she is, says. I've been called every name from Uncle Tom to traitor to Uncle Ruckus, just for stating my idea that maybe the Democratic Party is not the only party for people of color. Not just black people, Hispanics, Asians, people of color. So to have Joe Biden go on the Breakfast Club today and say, if you can't decide whether to vote for me or Trump, then you ain't black, is unacceptable, insulting, humiliating, and does not conduct deserving to become or even run for president of the United States. I hear all of this crap about Donald Trump and what he said during his campaign. Yeah, he said some stupid stuff. I will give people that. He said some things that made you cringe, but they were not overtly racist. If you actually listen to his speeches, he never said anything overtly racist. The things he said pointed to certain subsections of different people groups. He didn't say Mexicans. He said illegal immigrants from Mexico. And he didn't point to all illegal immigrants. He pointed to the criminal illegal immigrants who came from Mexico and committed crimes in America. Those are the people that he said were not the best and the brightest, but the worst. Those were who he was talking about. But the soundbite in the media pushes to where he talks about all Mexicans and he hated all Mexicans. Fine, who cares? Time and time again, we see Joe Biden in a position of abject racism, where he sits there and he has a comment, a little blurb. You know, he's giving this speech, and this speech is to a group of people of color. He's giving this speech, and everything's going fine. Then he says something overtly racist, to whether either the media has to look it over and say, "Oh, well, he didn't mean it like that," or where people just ignore it completely.
Yeah, so let me ask you, what does it do to people of color like you, like you three on the screen here, and everybody else? That just further demonizes you and makes you further a pariah in your own community. Kareem, go ahead, man. Tell us your thoughts, buddy.
Well, first of all, thank you, Nate, for putting this special edition for us together for us tonight, so we can view our thoughts about this situation. And let me start off. This is not a Democrat thing or Republican thing for me personally. This is just a right or wrong thing. And the stance he took today and the statement that he made that if you don't vote for him, that you're not black. First of all, he has no place to tell my people or any other race of people who they are or what they stand for or how to be judged by whatever choices that they make. Second of all, I've been expressing this for the last probably 5 or 10 years, you know, to my people, you know, as African-American people, that Democrats need to earn your vote. Let's wake up, people, and listen to what they have to offer. And that goes for any party that you want to vote for. Just because they're Democrats, and we've been conditioned this way for years and years and years by our parents, you know, probably since Kennedy, that, hey, the Democrats are for you, vote for them no matter what. That's not the case. And now you have seen someone blatantly come out and say this publicly, whether he did it on purpose, on accident, how he truly feel, and say, hey, you owe me your vote and I don't owe you anything.
Yeah, and here's another thing too with that. I'm tired of the media and everybody making excuses for him. Oh, it was just an accident. You never hear the media, oh, well, Trump didn't really mean it. You never hear that. No, they go after him, and maybe they should. But then they need to show that same fire towards Joe Biden. Darius, my man, what's on your mind?
Sorry, I was getting like a thing here. But I mean, I think everybody hit it on the head, man, to be honest with you. And it was, I think Jasper put it perfectly. And good to see you again, Jasper and Kareem. Nice to meet you for the first time, man. I love what you guys have to say so far, and I love the conversation with you last time, Jasper. But you know, there's a difference between overt racism and prejudice, to be honest with you, or verbal prejudice, and usually unknowingly. And I think that's the big distinction here. So as far as feeling insulted, for me, I don't feel insulted or feel one way or the other because it's to be expected. And like when I was on here last time, I told you when Trump ran for president, that was the first time I ever voted in my life. And there was a reason for that, because I could distinguish between overt racism and somebody that's just, like I told you, a brash New Yorker that just kind of talks and tells it like it is, which can come off a little harsh sometimes. And I understand that. But yeah, right? With Joe Biden, even in his conversation with Charlamagne today, it was just so much overt disrespect. And that's where I get a little confused, I guess, with people that still like the label, I guess, quote unquote conservative or Trump Republican, a coon or whatever the names they use and stuff like that. Because, you know, at the end of the day, that disrespect is right there in your face, and it's for the world to see. Situations like that perpetuate the stereotypes and, you know, the emboldening of racism and racists. You know, not a Donald Trump going up there and just giving it to you raw. It's situations like that because people understand how they can kind of get away with it and almost like control your mind and control your functions. And that's what Joe Biden did with Charlamagne. It was masterful on his part. And even the way he answered questions when Charlamagne asked him questions, it was like, go look it up, go see. Go see. Yeah. He couldn't answer. That's not how. I noticed.
What are you talking
all.
about, man? It was all like defensive. Like, how could you even be asking me this?
Like, if you were on Good Morning America right now, that would have never been a thought to even come out your mouth. You know what I mean? If you were on CNN right now, that would have never even been a thought to come out of your mouth. And the Breakfast Club is like one of the largest syndicated radio shows in the country. Forget just hip hop and things like that. And to get on there and have the gall to disrespect somebody like that and to be that way. And it reminded me of the Hillary Clinton hot sauce moment, to be honest with you. But with this guy, it was just straight disrespect as far as the way he was answering the questions, the things he was saying. And then at the end, if you notice, the person comes and takes him off TV when Charlemagne starts asking about, the probability of him picking a black VP to join his cabinet. So it wasn't just one thing, right? We're all focusing on the one line he said about, that doesn't make you black. And he even said ain't. And the way he's talking on there is just like this jive turkey. Like, you don't talk that anywhere else.
Oh my God.
Anywhere else you go. So at the end of the day, the deliberate and constant disrespect and racist overtones he displayed in that interview. And I heard you say earlier, Nate, that Charlemagne was the type of person that was kind of coming onto the other side. No, he's not. That guy's not coming onto the other side, man. I hear this guy. I actually listen to these guys every day, and I've been listening to him for years. Because I like to see all sides of things, and I'm still a big fan of hip hop, still a big fan of the community, and the things we do. But there's so much unfactual information he puts out there a lot of times, just about everything, especially when it's going political. And he's the type of guy, he's looking to be Oprah right now. Everybody knows that, man. He's looking to go mainstream, go pop. So he's liable to say anything, do anything.
Really?
But he really needs to step up his game and recognize disrespect when it's right in his face.
Yeah, I don't know him as well as like Steve Harvey. He has a morning show, and he's been blasted because he was actually nice to Trump. But I do know polling, and polling shows that black men especially are coming over to the Trump train. And I think that eventually black women will follow, Hispanic males, Hispanic females, Asians, Indians, any entrepreneur. In fact, in the black community, I see a rise of entrepreneurship like I have never seen in my lifetime. And I grew up in Flint, Michigan, so it wasn't like I grew up, in the country. And the entrepreneur spirit, that's the worst thing the Democrats can have. Democrats fear two things: self-sufficient black men who lead their home, and entrepreneurship, because then you'll start having to pay taxes. Not that you don't pay taxes, but anybody, whether it's Appalachian whites, black people, whoever, Democrats fear taxpayers. They love taxpayers because then they get their socialist agenda, but they fear the masses coming up and actually starting to be contributors to society. And that starts with replacing men in their home. And that's what I love about the one thing I did like about Barack Obama, and I really respect about Kareem since I've known him. He is a pro father, rise up, person ever since I've known him. Anybody could take it now.
Yeah, and that's very important that you brought that up. And we had this discussion a couple of weeks back about the importance of the father being in the household. And we did some statistics about the success rate of children that have two-parent households versus single-parent households. And yeah, the Democrats do push a lot of agenda for social reform as far as welfare and things like that. Now, like I said, I come from a family that some had to utilize welfare. I grew up on it, but to utilize it as a career versus as a time to say, okay, these 5 or 6 years, I'm having a rough time. Let me get myself together and use this and then move on. That's one thing. But I push for black men, being in the home with their children, not just black men, just America. I'm an American. I serve my country. I'm an American. But if we just want to get specific, the black community, we need our black men to be raising our kids and being in their life. And a lot of them, we have a lot of broken
not black,
homes.
Not white American.
Yeah.
Not black, not white American. I agree. And that goes for fathers everywhere, including the rising demographic of white men who are no longer contributing to their home. Guess what? That's the fastest way to poverty for your kids and the worst thing you can do for them. Man up. Let's reform our divorce laws. Let's reform our, you know what? We don't even need to legislate it. You know what? Man up. Take care of your home. Women.
Lock in.
Pretty much, man. It's time to cut down on all the laws and the legislation being passed.
Amen.
The goal here is to inspire people to do things on their own, just like what we're doing with the cleanup in Philadelphia. That's all about going out there and inspiring a community that's just being taken advantage of and made to feel like they don't have any real power, and kind of going out there and bringing whatever, quote unquote star power we have with us, and volunteers, and a lot of effort going behind this to, make sure people know this is still America. You are still free. You are no longer slaves, and you can, take control of your lives and take control of this narrative and start pushing the agenda forward.
Yes,
and
sir.
when you look at a lot of these Democratic officials, you just have to understand. I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result, man.
Damn,
and
bro.
at
Well,
the
yeah.
end of the day, I'm just glad we got, people like, like the, Jaspers, like the Kareems, like the Nate, to really just kind of push that message forward and be strong men and try to get this thing done the right way.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, by the way, if you want to chime in live, you can call in with a comment, 443-247-5309, 443-247-5309. Make sure that you stay on mute, okay? I do not have a person that does the call. When you call in, they will have a recorded message from my producer, Whitley, and just follow her thing. Do not mute. I will unmute you. Also, you can comment here, Nightcaps with Nate. Make sure that you like and follow. Hey, we got 3 gentlemen on this line, on our show tonight to discuss what we've been discussing with the Joe Biden thing. So if you're just joining us, you can actually rewind to the beginning of the show. I laid out a case that Joe Biden is not just a racist now. He was a racist back then. And I don't think he even thinks he's a racist. I think he just thinks he's an elite. And, it's old white male. They got to teach the black people how to live. And that's just not true, man. Let them go.
Nah. Don't let him off the hook.
Don't.
He know he a racist. I mean,
and he's trying to change history. He's trying to change the history.
Okay.
He's trying to change history of the 1994 crime bill.
Yeah, okay, go ahead,
people
Jasper.
Jasper, people have asked him about the 94 crime bill. He's like, he points to the 94 crime bill as, oh, well, I did assist in the 94 crime bill, but they put in mandatory minimums. They put in the difference in incarceration from powder cocaine to crack cocaine. Who are they? Who are they? The Democrats were in control of House and Senate at that time. Who are they? Like, the Democrats did that.
Go ahead.
Bill Clinton signed that. He pushed for that. That was his agenda, reforming crime.
And they campaigned on it for years. Clinton and them. Let's call them super predators. Go ahead.
Super predators, yes.
I got a question. I got a question to the 2 other brothers on the panel. Do you feel that Biden, the way he carries himself, and you my brother from another mother. I got you. Right, but you the host.
All right, go
you
ahead.
the host. We just but anyway, yeah. Do you feel that Biden, because he spent that time with Obama through those years, and he traveled with Obama, and he spent a lot of time around gaining that black vote, and the black people, they really came together to make sure Obama became president. Do you think that's where he get that level of comfort to where he can state that?
Oh yeah. That elevated him in that sense.
So he got a car. He got a black car, huh?
I mean, but it's like
never chosen.
It's like money. Honestly, it's like money. It's not real. That black card and this and that is not real, man. Just like the street life and the street politics, that stuff is not real. That's stuff that doesn't really exist, but we kind of just take it to another level and let it shape and define who we are, when that thing is shaping and defining us to be the wrong kind of people and going the wrong kind of way in life.
Yeah.
We got a couple callers waiting online. Let me get to my first caller, the one in Georgia. State your name and what city you are calling from.
Yeah, my name is Andy. I'm calling in from Atlanta, and actually, I've been watching this for about an hour now, but this thing's pretty cool. But anyway, I just want to touch point on one thing. Usually, every 4 years, things start to get a little heated up. Elections start to come around, and people start arguing with friends, family, and all over. These people, these politicians who are asking for power, basically, and as American people, we're the ones that can give it to them. And people seem to forget that. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you're looking at Republican or Democrat. All these people are looking for power. They're hunting for power. That's what they're looking for. And for some reason, in the midst of it all, we forget to come together, man. I mean, I don't care which side you're leaning towards. People forget to come together, man. I mean, we know what it's like to struggle. We know what it's like to, live week to week. They don't.
They don't. No, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
final point, and then we're gonna move on. Go ahead.
Well, that's it. That's just one thing I wanted to say. Through all this, especially with all these things going on in the country now, you got viruses, all this stuff going on. We just got to remember to have respect for each other, and first and foremost, remember that we the people.
We are the
we're
people.
the ones with
Exactly. We are all Americans.
Yes,
go ahead. Anybody want to comment to that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead, Jasper.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand the points very well. Everybody, I mean, no matter who's running for office, they're looking for power because power is the only way you're going to be able to change anything. My thing is the difference between Biden and Trump. Trump wasn't looking so much for power, but the ability to actually change things. He had power, he had influence. Trump had influence. If he wanted to be a lobbyist, he could have done that. He had the money to do it. But Trump wanted to actually be in the driver's seat because he had a specific set of ideals and things that he wanted to get done in this country. He wanted to see criminal justice reform. He wanted to see immigration reform. He wanted to see the United States reform their trade deals with other countries. He actually wanted to see that. And instead of sitting back and paying into a pool of money for people who had a various amount of different ideas of things they wanted done, he said, I'm going to become the president to where the ideas that I hold for this country will be run through me, and I won't take any outside money from any donors and any lobbyists and any PACs. I'm going to serve the American people, and everything he's done has been to serve the American people. Some people don't agree with it. Some people hate him. Some people dislike him. But the entire narrative that Trump has always stressed was America first, and that's what he has done.
Yeah,
and that's
and he has
opposite of what Biden has done. Go
and
ahead.
I do like how he has made a play for the black vote too. I mean, with criminal justice reform, he's actually had yesterday. Yesterday, it didn't even get reported by the media, and it should have. But he had all the black leaders in Michigan on a roundtable yesterday. Didn't even get a narrative of support because the media is biased. Next on the line, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Who's this? This is me?
Yep. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Nate, it's Keith. How are you?
I'm doing well, Keith. Keith is calling from Virginia.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So look, it's really hard to participate in a forum like this because the media doesn't matter. It's biased. So anything I say that doesn't fit within the parameters you've predefined, you're going to just rule it out. If I give you a story from the HuffPost, Washington Post, it doesn't count. But I just want a one-to-one because this isn't a vacuum. This is not just about Joe Biden. It's about Joe Biden or the other guy. So let Trump come on, talk to Charlemagne the God. Let's see how that goes. Let's see how that goes when it's not edited. Let's see what he says. Let's look at what he said after the Central Park Five were exonerated by DNA evidence. Oh, well, there's people on both sides. So if you want to make this whole case about Joe Biden, please use the same level of introspective review for the guy who's president, who has said everything under the book about.
You don't think we say that every day about the rest of the media? I got a show that has 1,000, 2,000 people. I got a show that's got 1,000 or 2,000 people. He was in a room full of
Jewish leaders, and he said, "I'm a negotiator just like you people." Come on, man! To say he's not overtly racist,
but he says that about everybody.
Yeah, he said that about the Iranians too. He said quote
Trump's
the Iranians.
racism.
He said the Iranians.
Yeah, Trump's racism facilitates his agenda, which is to be reelected.
Let me ask you this: do you think Charlemagne would be as nice to Trump as Charlemagne? Because I watched the entire interview twice. Charlemagne was very, very giving to Biden. Never cut him off. Never questioned anything.
I'm so happy you asked me.
Do you think
I'm so happy you asked me that question? Absolutely, because Charlemagne had Tommy Lauren on, and he got a lot of shit in his community for going to lunch with her. He's a well-educated, smart guy who's willing to listen to the debate. But you know what Tommy Lauren, whatever her name is, did? She stepped right into that bear trap because she can't act like she's somebody that she's not. So yeah, I think Charlemagne would be very respectful to the president of the United States. But I don't think that Trump would do well. He can't do well with Fox News. He has to argue with his own people now.
I agree.
News.
He steps on his message sometimes, but I don't think that Trump would be treated the same way. Thanks for your call. It was a pleasure having you on. If you also want to join in, go to 443-247-5309, 443-247-5309. Darius, you've been awfully quiet. You want to comment on any of that?
I mean, I actually think Donald Trump would probably do better in an interview with a Charlemagne the God one-on-one than he would on a Fox News, to be honest with you. But I just know that Charlemagne the God would probably never take that interview. And that's the problem. And to speak to his other point, I mean, basically, I hear that argument a lot because I've heard that argument when we started talking about Joe Biden and his supposed sexual assault allegations and things like that. And a lot of people on the left started saying, "Well, Trump did it." Yeah, but here's the difference. One, when it happened with Trump, it was everywhere. It was on every station. It was on every outlet, whatever the case is. Now we're talking about how, yes, it's just conservatives kind of talking about it, but it's not all over the mainstream media. They're not talking about it like that.
And it won't be as viral on the media either.
It won't be. But at the end of the day, you know, with what he said, I mean, we're conservatives, we're Republicans. So obviously we would talk about the things that are going on with Joe Biden, just like he's obviously a Democrat or independent, and he might talk about things that go on with Donald Trump. So at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's kind of his point on that was kind of null and void. But listen, we all know what's going on, man. There's a reason why he calls it the Clinton News Network. You know, we've never seen such hatred towards
never in my life
in our lifetime towards the president of the United States.
Never.
And even when they talk about how vulgar he may talk and stuff like that, listen, if we go back 50, 60, 70, 60, 100 years ago, the presidents, I mean, that's what the United States of America was built on: free speech, being able to, you know, speak and verbalize yourself in the way that you wanted to. So I actually appreciate those things about a Donald Trump. And, you know, just like we talked about on the last show, when he was in that meeting with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and he said, you know, Nancy, this is transparency. That tells you everything you need to know about the guy. So yes, I forgot the caller's name. You know, we understand that Donald Trump, you know, does things wrong. But at the end of the day, we understand that we do those things too, and we accept that. We're just looking for the other side to do the same right now.
And what I'm looking for is for the media to voraciously go after him. I mean, he's given so many free passes. The media, Trump has never been given a free pass since he rolled down that escalator in 2016. Go after him with the exact same ferocious. Kathleen Alleman, First Whitley says, look at all these good-looking men. I'm reading the comments now. Kathleen says, I think it's hilarious that Biden feels qualified to speak on who's black and who's not. The Democratic Party does not care about the black community. I know her. She's half black. Lisa Lamangino Waller says, preach, Darius. Mark Palumbo, I was just going to say preach. Keith Brody, based on what has worked for years on underprivileged communities. I think he's being sarcastic there. I know Keith. Angel says, Ohio. I'm not sure what that means. And somebody was replying to Kathleen saying, really? Flo Richmond. So if you want to be a part of this show, we got approximately 22 minutes left.
Hey, can we point out one more thing, brother?
Go. Let me read out the number again, 443-247-5309, 443-247-5309. Make sure if you do call that you remain on mute. I will unmute you. Go ahead.
Just like with everything else, right? Let's say on the Biden side, the Democratic side, we're catching these people in the act of saying certain things, right? We got them on the hot mic. We have it in their past writings or whatever the case is. This stuff happens all the time. On the Trump side, it always seems to be hearsay. You know, somebody heard that he said back in the day, you know, get all the black casino card holders off the floor when I come in or whatever the case is, or he said the N-word. But we've never actually heard those things. So I just want people to understand some of the propaganda that's going on and the things that are being pumped into your brain, where it's the same thing when they have these whistleblowers in the media nowadays. And that's why he calls a lot of them fake, where it's just all these unnamed sources, all these anonymous sources. Yep. It's anonymous source. They're literally making some of this stuff up, and if not all of it, up in thin air a lot of the time.
And I would go a step further. I'd go a step further. What you're saying, though, this is the stuff that he allowed to slip. How much more racism is he showing in his personal life?
Seriously, this is right in your face.
Yeah, we got a call. We got a call coming on. Looks like from New York. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Dean Williams.
Hey, Dean.
I am Jasper's brother.
Oh, he's shaking his head.
That's your brother, Jasper?
Yeah, I think he's more on the liberal side. Go ahead, Dean.
More, yeah.
It's funny. My liberal friends would say the opposite of that.
Oh yeah,
that's good.
I'm
so
on the
say
side
a little bit more in the middle.
Yeah. So you're saying. All right, go ahead. Go ahead and make your point.
So And listening to the previous conversations that I had the opportunity to listen to, the one thing that I think is important is any discussion that's had about what's right, what's wrong, what's right, what's left, what's liberal, what's libertarian. The one thing that I would ask is that people bring their facts to the conversation, because there's a lot of things that people can say that's an opinion, but it doesn't mean that those are the facts that people should use to make their opinion.
Give me an example.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So, for example, when we were talking about with Joe Biden, yes, what Joe Biden did today, he messed up. He messed up big time. Does that mean that you or I or someone else can just go to him and just say straight up, "Hey, you're a racist"? Do we know him? Have we personally?
Yes,
the other
50 years in
people can't-
politics lets us know him, Dean.
So-
50 years in politics lets us know
you
him.
can't, just let you know, due to the phone system, my guest, he won't be able to hear you. So he's only actually hearing me. And I'm actually going to disconnect you, and you'll be able to hear their response because you're on a delay anyways. But I would say that, yeah, judge a man by his actions. And Joe Biden has come out, and now he's been caught in quite a few lies. First, when he was running in the 1970s, he said, yeah, I kind of helped with the civil rights, but I was not that big into it. And then as it got popular to help with the civil rights, all of a sudden he was talking about how every day after college he was going down to the black church and, getting full of the Holy Spirit and out there marching and desegregating movie theaters. So the guy is double-sided. But let's not just judge him by what he just said today. I agree. I hate that.
Yeah, it's not about today.
It's about his whole history.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
And if he listened to the conversation, he would understand that too, because we were talking about more than just that.
Go ahead, Kareem.
It's not about today. It's not about today. It's not about necessarily Joe Biden. It's about Democrats as a whole. This is what they believe every 4 years when they go into election time, that the black vote is a guarantee, and we don't have to live up to anything that we say we're going to do. I just want to get on here today and stress this point. If I don't stress nothing this whole night, is first, black people, go out and vote. Go out and vote. As you can see, our vote will affect change in this country, and then we can go out there and really see what we can do if we stick together and go out there and vote. 1. 2, you just heard this man tell you that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
That's crazy.
3, and this is my last point. 3, he just basically said what they already think. Now force them to earn your vote.
And Charlemagne said that too on the left.
To earn your vote.
Yeah, Charlemagne's big thing is saying that that's how he feels on the left. Again, I've never really heard him. I've listened to Steve Harvey in the morning. I like Steve Harvey. But I've never heard, but based on what he was saying in the media today is that he wants the black people, or the Democrats, to earn the black people vote too. But if you have city after city after city after city who's been under Democrat control for, say, 50 years, Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore, name a big city, how in the hell, this is what Trump was saying. This is what I loved about Trump, because he's saying what I've been saying the Republicans should have been doing a long time ago. What the hell do you have to lose? Try something different. One of you guys said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again.
Over and over again.
Right.
Yep. Brother Darius
Be
said
free.
That.
Be free, man.
And
Do
this is
you,
the
and that's what
Blexit
it's all
movement.
about.
The Blexit movement is, hey, let's take over
popular.
a party. And the party of black people used to be the Republican Party. Yes, did the Republican Party do some stupid stuff? But it used to be segregationists. All were on the Democrat side. In fact, on one of those videos I showed you, was the only black senator at the time was a Republican from Massachusetts. So
who was the last known congressman or senator? I'm sorry, to be a known KKK member.
Yeah, Harry Byrd, West Virginia.
Robert Byrd.
Robert Byrd.
Who died. Yeah, who died during the Obama administration. And if I'm correct, the first black president of the United States also spoke at his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's going on? Where they do that at? What is going on? So this stuff, that's overt. That's overt. The last known senator that we knew was a part of the KKK was in the United States Senate while the first black president was in office, and he spoke at his funeral. Stop, man.
Man, I don't even want. Stop. I don't even. We don't. That's a whole nother show.
The whole nother show, huh?
Stop.
Jasper, you've been quiet. What's on your mind, buddy?
Shit.
Everything. But
Go ahead.
we ain't got no time for that tonight.
No, we got
I'm still pissed. Like, I'm sorry, I'm still pissed because yeah, you're right. It's not just about Joe Biden. It's not just about what he said today or over the last 50 years, because he said some stupid crap over the last 50, some racist stupid crap over the last 50 years that really needs people to pay attention to. But like Kareem said, go vote. But don't just make the Democrats earn your vote. Listen to somebody else too. Listen to an independent. Listen to a Republican. Listen to a libertarian. Listen to other people. There's a movie with Chris Tucker. Chris Rock. And old girl from Scandal. Can't remember her name. Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington, yeah.
You know what movie I'm talking about, where he was married and she was like his fling or something like that. But excuse my language, but she listened to his iPod, and he had only black artists on there. And she used the other term for a black person that's derogatory, but black people use it for each other. And she said, "You have those kind of ears." He's like, "What do you mean I got those ears?" She's like, "Yeah, there's more music in the world than just black people music." And she played a song for him by somebody else, and he liked it. She played another song. He's like, "Wow, I never knew I would like this music." Just like other politicians, just because they're a Democrat don't mean that's the only lane you need to look at.
There
are other lanes to look at. That's why I jumped out of the Democratic Party. That's why I jumped out of liberalism, because I'm like, this is not what I want. This is not where I want to go. And I heard another idea. I'm like, yes. And upon that idea, I built my own consensus, and now I'm on the libertarian side, because I don't feel like the government should be as big as it is, and that's another story. But that's just where I am now. But without listening to somebody else's idea, I would still be in the box that everybody expects me to be, and too afraid to vote for somebody else because I'm afraid that I would no longer be black.
Yeah,
so that's
crazy.
where I am.
Based off Biden, Jasper, you ain't black no more, brother. Let me tell you first.
Hey, Cassandra and Nicole.
I'm undefined.
Cassandra online reading some of the comments. Hi, guys. Hey, guys. Hey, how you doing, Cassandra? Dacia, Shireen, Nicole. He is rude. He is unapologetic rude, and I don't think Trump is a good person, period. I learn new things every day, and I'm always open to different opinions, etc. But he reminds me of a parent who says messed up things to their kids, doesn't care about their kids, but then turns around and says, but look what I've done for you. I've done more for you than anyone. Like, that's supposed to make all bad things okay. And Brandon says, preach, brother.
Up. She's like, hey, Dacia, you waking up? Keep paying attention.
Keep paying attention. Hey, I want to go to some of the other black conservatives.
Donald Trump is the guy that got a flat tire in his limo in New York City one day, and they pulled to the side of the road, and somebody pulled up next to him and Melania and gave them a ride to where they were going. And when they woke up a few days later, Donald Trump had paid off their mortgage just because. That's the kind of guy Donald Trump is.
And Donald Trump just donated his... Donald Trump just donated his check. He's donated every check to charity from his presidency, and he just donated this one to Health and Human Services to fight COVID-19. Shannon, Kimbrough, Randall, this is good. Hey, let me, we do have one, all of us are going to be media sensations someday, but Darius is probably the closest one we got. He's been on major television shows and stuff. But some of the black conservative voices that are on Twitter, hashtag Joe Biden is a racist, is actually trending. I like this guy here. But he, hold on, let's...
America, to look at this foolishness right here. Jamil, have you lost? No, you have.
Does anybody know who that is? I don't know who he is.
Terrence Williams.
Yeah, I like him. And he's going after Jamil Hill right now because she said this issue wasn't what Joe Biden said because it was accurate. The issue is that it came from Joe Biden. That's messed up. And so there's a lot of people, a lot of black conservatives are actually opining on this, and I love it. You know, that's the one thing about this is the really big tough guy that has the MAGA hat that you see in memes a lot. And he's talking here.
This Joe Biden, you cannot shame me.
He's saying you can't shame
me. So run it back to your Democrat Party. You cannot use my race or my skin color as some type of bargaining chip as if to say, hey, little uppity black Republican, do you want this back? Well, come on back to the Democrat party. Put on these victimhood, race-baiting feelings over facts, change back on it.
Now, that guy, he was actually originally, I read his story one time. You'll see him in memes. He's a really big guy. I know my guests can't see my screen, but, you know, he was actually researching Donald Trump so he could actually debate Trumpsters and actually said, you know what, this guy's actually got something going on. Here's what I'm asking everybody tonight. Somebody's saying that that's lies. Keith, they're saying that that's lies. Did Donald Trump pay off a good thing? It's from Snopes.com. Snopes is a known liberal site, by the way. I know Keith's going to say, well, everything I put up there is liberal. Yeah, find a USA Today fact check or somebody. I did a whole segment on media bias. Go back and watch some of my previous shows and the sources that we'll take on this show. And they don't even have to be Fox News. They can be just somewhere in the middle. Hell, find me an NPR, okay? Not an opinion, but...
Tell Keith this is bigger than Nino Brown.
Shannon says, hey girl, I need to start a watch party, but don't know how. Jeff Lincoln, you believe Snopes? Yeah, I was just saying that. See, they're actually a little behind me, so he's saying that as he's probably hearing that right now. Whitley Kerr need to start a watch party, but I'm clueless. Somebody else said, what about what he talked about right before? He went on a hip-hop platform and pushed his belief that absolutely no one will go to jail for drugs. He did do that. That I didn't even get to the rest of this thing. Did you guys watch the entire interview?
No, I was too pissed about that clip.
Yeah,
I didn't want to see
it. Was only 11 minutes.
Yeah, it was only 11 minutes. I urge you to watch it. He is pandering. He was saying that he's going to free anybody, and they all should go to rehab. He's going to decriminalize marijuana, which is fine. I'm a libertarian. I should that. But even for the hard drugs, instead of going to jail, you're going to go to rehab. But here's my question. If rehab fails or you don't stick with rehab, what's the consequence? You know, so eventually there's got to be something that goes behind it.
And again,
I don't think we should send them to rehab. I don't think we should do anything. You do drugs, you do drugs. That's your problem.
And again,
it's your choice.
Yeah,
as long as
punish them for the other
else.
crimes. Right.
So basically you telling the black people that all of y'all are drug addicts, criminals.
Yeah.
And if you do drugs and you go to jail, I got your back.
Yeah. I think there's
offer us something more. Man,
I think it was Clarence Thomas that came out against affirmative action and said, hey, you know what you're telling me as a black man is I can't get into college on my own. You know,
black kids are just as smart as white kids. I mean, poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
Yeah, that's Joe Biden. And that's what, you know, the thing is that the Democrat Party is inherently racist. And all the wokesters like Keith and others that I know, you know, they do have good hearts, right? They really think that they're really, you know, furthering the cause of black people. What you're really doing is telling black people, hey, you're too stupid to do what white people can, but here, let me help you. You know, yeah, there was some structural racism that went on. There was redlining. And so black people are just now catching up on building up wealth. And that is very important because generational wealth is very important. You know, I'm all for just like what we did with the Native Americans and maybe the United States as part of reparations, not cash reparations, but maybe things like, you know, 4-year college education and, you know, government-backed home loans to get the wealth going just for a certain period of time. We can explore all that. That's not the part of the show, but black people inherently, Democrat Party inherently looks at people of color as disadvantaged, as if the white guy has to always come in and save them. And it really is insulting if I was a person of color. I'm not, but, you know, to me, that would be very insulting. Go ahead.
Man, man, like I told you, I can't really get insulted by that stuff because, you know, at the end of the day, that's how we got stuck in this position in the first place. You know, just being insulted, being stuck in our emotions, and there is no real progress. So they just keep playing with your emotions like a guitar. They keep playing with the strings. And, you know, again, I go back to that interview with Charlamagne the God and Joe Biden. Again, if especially if I'm having a conversation with you or you want to be involved in any world I'm involved in, you have to be able to look at that conversation and understand the overt racism and superiority being displayed in that actual interview. Just again, the way he answered the questions, the way they cut him off as he started asking some of the right questions or some of the questions that people wanted to know about, and just kind of got him out of there. And again, this was a Good Morning America.
And his handlers are doing the same thing. Right?
Absolutely. If this was an MSNBC, that wouldn't have happened. Even if that was a Fox News, that wouldn't have happened. There would have been a certain decorum that was, you know, followed a certain respect that would have been had, and a certain professionalism. So people really need to just start understanding these things and get out of their feelings and just kind of get the truth and try to understand the reality of what's going on around you and what people's true intentions are.
And here's the go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, thank you, you know, Joe Biden for basically expressing what's
really on your mind. Yeah.
I mean, shit. Tell me how you feel.
Danique Lurk
Like
says
play
Snopes
with
is
his leg hairs.
Snopes is Danique Lur. That's actually my older brother. Says Snope. He's like your sister. He's coming along. Snopes is nearly 100% accurate as a fact-checking source, and also since you believe all fact-check sites are liberal, can you point me to a conservative-based source? Hey, the only one that I've ever found that's been fair to conservatives has been USA Today, and they happen to be the largest newspaper. Kathleen Alleman, to each their own. I do not feel that the Democrat elites care about the black community. I believe that they care about votes, and that is it. I'm allowed to have my opinion, same as you. So yes, really, I don't know if she's debating with somebody online, but here's the deal. I think it's crazy that the party of atheism, which is the Democrat Party, the white, especially white Democrats, they find Jesus every 4 years on election day, or right before election day, and then they go into the black churches, and they usually show up, get their picture taken, dancing, give a little speech, and then they usually leave because, you know, I grew up in a mixed church, and they can go on for quite a few hours, so, you know, they don't have time for all that nonsense. They're just there to get a photo op. Have you noticed the same thing?
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, of course I have, but the thing is, don't tell me what you've done for me. Don't tell me, hey, I've done this for you, so you should worship me. You should love me. You know, the one thing and I know we're running out low on time. The one thing I appreciate about Bernie Sanders, other than his crazy ideas, is that he never throws in your face that he actually marched with Dr. King. He actually marched in civil rights protests. He actually got his ass beat for civil rights. But he never says, "Oh, look what I did for you back in the 60s. Look what I had to endure for you." He never did that. You know, if his ideas weren't so damn crazy, if he wasn't so loony, he would have my vote.
He would have a lot of people's vote.
Yeah, Joe Biden.
Democrats are stupid for nominating Biden when they had all those good candidates, decent candidates.
Exactly.
And guess what? 2 election cycles in a row, Bernie is the only one that could have beat Trump, in my opinion, or have a great chance of beating Trump. Anybody could
last
still.
election, 2016.
Yeah, and he could probably have done it this time too, because he would have peeled off a lot of the populist vote. Hey, I want to thank everybody who joined us tonight. Jasper, Darius, Kareem, you guys are great friends, co-hosts on the show a lot of times, and we will actually be back on. Yes, we will have a Memorial Night evening show, a Monday evening show, and until that time, that is at 9 p.m. Till that time, if you join us for the first time, hopefully you enjoyed the show. Make sure that you like and subscribe to Nightcaps and Nate. And also, you will find a replay of this if you want to share it with your friends on YouTube tonight, right after the show. Hey, thanks for joining us. We are out.
This has been Nightcaps with Nate. Please join Nate for a nightcap every weeknight at 9 Eastern here on Facebook Live.
Peace.